What's up, gang? It is I, Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And tonight I wanted to do a brief video on Strategy 2.0. The stacking continues and focus on one particular group that is, actually one item that is within the Adventure Times collection. So let's jump into the app. I'm on the computer here doing this from the desktop tonight instead of the phone. So we are mirroring the screen of the cell phone, and I'm able to do this by utilizing the Samsung Windows 10 app. I can't remember exactly what they call this app, but when you buy a Samsung phone and you're using Microsoft Windows, I think it's called the Your Phone app or something like that. Allows you to control and mirror the screen on your phone. And instead of using the phone, you can send text messages or do anything that you would normally right here on the computer screen. So let's jump into Adventure Time. Well, back into Adventure Time because we have covered BMO. We have covered Finn Mertens. On the previous video, we talked about Ice King. And I'll tell you what, we're going to do a 2-for-1. I'm going to cover the one that is the focal point tonight, which is Lumpy Space Princess. And then I'm going to follow up and talk about Jake the dog. And for a bonus, I'll throw in what's going on with Bubblegum. But the main reason that we are focusing on Lumpy Space Princess is due to the fact that, number one, there's only 67 that are left on the market. You can see that there are 115 Jake the Dogs. Right now, Ice King is dwindling. It's at 60. It's the lowest. Finn's at 87. BMO at 118. Well, of course, Lady Rainicorn and the ultra rares at 51. We could expect that. But for being a rare, 67, that's pretty awesome. So let's jump into the pricing here. And I want to show you what I observe, and I'm going to explain to you what I see happening when you notice pricing like this. First of all, 155 is the new floor, but the surge happened and it had jumped up to around, I think, 170 to 175 right away. And as I was talking on the last video, you can kind of tell what has been happening here recently being very different than what normally happens, because when we used to have these whales that would come in and sweep a floor, price would go all the way back down to the original floor, the true value. But now we're seeing the sweeping going on and a much higher floor value, okay? So we may have jumped up to 175 and we're floating back towards 150 as a floor value. Now, when we started, we were sitting there approaching 100 gems as the floor. So this is a 33% increase even at this lowest point here. And it was almost a double when we came in at about 175, when whomever it is with very deep pockets has swept up the entire floor, driving up these values. So let's say, for instance, when someone comes in and sweeps the floor, let's just say, for instance, it was 175 and that was the new floor value at the moment. What you're going to see there is the creeping in of lower prices. Let me erase that. It's supposed to be an arrow, dadgummit. You'll start to see the creeping in of lower prices. 174.50, someone will list just 50 cents below the new floor so that they can have the number one position at the top of the list to get the attention so they can get that item moved. And then someone else will say, well, let me list at 171. And then someone else will say, well, I'll outdo you by 51 cents, 170.49. Then this person says, well, shucks, I can at least offer it for 49 cents less than that guy to get number one position. And then another person says, well, I can outdo you. It just cost me one gem. And then we have another person that'll say, well, I'll make it a whopping $5.50. Now, there may have been people in between here that have already sold, and we may have missed them. Then the next one here is $4.50 cheaper, and then we have the $5 right here. So what you're noticing is, let's say if we just made a price line, we might have had a very steady price that was around 195, 196, kind of like this. And then all of a sudden you get this, where we have an immediate pump and then the new floor is 175. So then here's this 175, and then you start to see the eating away of that floor price just incrementally until you find the true value of the new floor, which could be at around 150 in this particular case. So you did have a jump from the previous floor value to this new value. Now, what was going on before that I noticed in the summer was price would come all the way back down almost that same day to the same level or sometimes below. And that's where I was saying it looks really silly to me when a whale will come in and sweep the floor to drive up prices, thinking that they were doing something when you know that everybody would start this incremental leapfrogging and taking profits. And then we would see the price go all the way back down to nothing. So then my thought was, did it really do you any good to sweep the floor? Let's say if there was 150 items, and then the whale comes in and buys up 50 of those or 75. It take half off the market, right? 75. But then, of course, you got the ability for many other people who did not have an item on the market to list. It doesn't mean that nobody else is going to list or that people would revise their prices. So 75 people say, oh, well, for 150, I'll let mine go. So then the number of items for sale on the market goes right back to 150, and then the floor value drops back down. So there's no net gain. But times have changed. Now we see a net gain where the new price floor is significantly above the previous value. And I'm seeing this across the board. We're not seeing the floating back down to original price. Let's clear this right here. Here's something else that I noticed. When we had the movement before, we would have the market prices were coming up, and then all of a sudden you would have a vertical. And this is since last spring. You would go completely vertical, right? And then you would have a massive major correction where everything would come all the way back down and find a new floor that was, maybe somewhat above the previous floor level. And this is market wide, not just one item. All right. And then we would float around here and it would take a long time. And then we would have our next parabolic run. And then we would correct and find another low level, a new higher floor level than before. But the new chart is kind of looking different, where we saw this parabolic movement and now the new floor price is sticking in a lot higher than what it was before. And so this is a significant movement of the floor prices where the correcting is not happening. So one of two things is going to happen. This is either the new normal, where we're going to see continued price movements go significantly higher, where we have the parabolic movement and some correction like this. This is going to continue. Or we're all going to see a major correction that brings us way down below, say, the previous 2 or 3 floor levels, but just above the original floor level. And then we establish a new higher low, dating back to, say, summer, looking backwards. That's one of two things that could happen. I'm leaning 51% towards the first scenario. And that's not financial advice, and that's not because I have any inside information. It's a guess. And I have a theory, and I'm going to have another video that I'll come out and tell you what my theory is. I won't include that here now because we're just talking about floor values. But I think that if we have this certain thing going on that I think it is, then this will be the new normal, and we might be in for the ride of our lives. Because I've been bracing myself for a massive correction, and I was about to produce a video pulling out the caution flag and say, hey, everybody, you better watch your butts. In fact, you really should, because we could have a correction, a major correction at any time, right here, right now. So just be careful and know that anything can happen, and you better not be playing with your bill paying money, because we don't want to see you crying if the bottom drops out. All right. So be careful out there. Okay. Well, let's get out of drawing mode and go back into, where were we? I forgot where I was. I think we were talking about Lumpy. That's right. All right. So we can see here that I've got 15. Whoops. Dadgummit, I want a box. I have 15 Lumpies, and we will look at the numbers that I have. I had more than that. I think I had 20 originally, and I've sold, 5 or more back in the eBay days. And I sold 2 or 3 just since last summer to buy into different drops as time went on. And then I finally decided I'm going to stop, and I'm not going to let any more go. So let's jump on in and take a close look at the numbers on my stack. I have a cold. Forgive me for all of the harumphing. I sound like Cavell Anderson. 1703, 1705, 3040. Let me put the glasses on. 3043. So we go into the 3000s here. We keep on scrolling, more in the 3000s. I think I got these in 2 batches, and 333220 would be the top one. So not incredibly great numbers, but they're there. And I don't care what the number is, it should at least bring full value. If I had some low ones, then I could expect to, crank up some pricing on them. But unfortunately, we don't have the lowest of low numbers. All right. There I go again. I can't talk about anybody. I have my own idiosyncrasies. And one thing that gets on my nerves is the common phrases. I'm going to do a video and I'll tell you what the most common phrases that YouTubers use. And it drives me up the wall. And I have a word that I abuse. And I can't stand it when I look at my videos because I say the word so like 900 times. And I want to slap myself for doing that because it gets on my last nerve. I'm kind of OCD if you didn't know that. It's a weird fact about me. Well, with the floor price of, where are we here? I'm trying to get back to the market price there. There we go. All right. Now we're doing good. Where did it go? I want to see the prices here. I don't know where I am. 68 for sale in the market. There we know. Now the app is tripping. Now it's tripping. Why are you going to do this to me now? Why? Oh, great. Okay, there we are. So 150. But now look at the prices as we scroll up beyond the 175 point. We have 179.99 to 180, 180, 180. A little bit of a shelf there at 180. Then we got 188, 190, 92, 95, 99. The next shelf is at 200. And then so on and so forth. So you can tell that when the price on the market, when you see something like, okay, floor value is 150 and then going above that, if there was an order book, so to say, if we had an order book chart, and let's say we're on the sell side or whatever it is on the buy or sell side, and here's 150, and then we have a shelf there at 175-ish, and then it does this, and then we have a shelf at 180, then you got this happening, and then you've got another shelf at 200, right? This is pretty healthy, so it says that it's not very artificial, and it's not like, let's say on some items, you might see the current floor price at 150, and then you see something like this, where there's a little bit beyond that, or a ton of them at 150, and then all of a sudden, ridiculous prices up here. Well, this one, the first one that I drew here, this is a much more healthy scenario that says that this is a dynamic situation, where this is a static situation. In other words, price is not going to be moving for a long time, where the situation that we have with Lumpy is that prices, we can expect movement up and down, not just upward movement, but it is in a high volatility phase, if I could say that. All right, now let's just jump back. And Princess Bubblegum, we can't see the prices. Darn. Well, we're going to have to just leave this at Lumpy. I don't know what's going on tonight and why the app is misbehaving on us, so I can't get into this. Well, I guess I could try to kill it and reload. Let's see if we can kill and reload. Oh, there's that dumb weather report on Windows. I hate it when it does that. Now let's jump into market. We'll try this one more time. Well, this video is getting long enough. We could just leave it on Lumpy. There wasn't much to report. I only have 4 of the Princess Bubblegum. And let's see. We talked about Finn Mertens on the last one. And what was the final item that I had in here I wanted to jump into very briefly as we scroll? I can't remember. Let's jump back in. It was Jake the dog. We're not going to get into Jake the dog. That'll be for a separate video. But it's also moving up. We have a stair step kind of looking order book for it. And I think that we're going to be experiencing another run pretty soon here. It could be heading back towards 200. So I've got my stack of 14 Jake the dogs. And then there's the Lumpy. And then last but not least, Princess Bubblegum. We have 90, 93, 95, 98, 100, and stair stepping right on. I mean, look at these prices, okay? And then we see a leveling off at 109 and 110. There's a wall there. Then we jump to 115, 118, 119. That's a good indication. Lots of variety in price. I have 4 additions. And I don't remember. I know I had bought a couple early on, and then after that, I picked up 2 way later in the game. So 1028 is the best one. 1452, 1459, and 2039 are the remaining. And I'm going to stop there. I just wanted to cover that price action and show you what I'm stacking here in this collection. So this is getting fun. Whenever we have a massive explosion here, it's going to feel nice once these really sail off. Unlike my Becky Cloonans, which will be in the next report, I have 2 Beckys and they're sitting at 2,000 right now. I had 4 in that collection and sold 2 of them. I had like 4 Joe Mads and I sold 3 of those. Batman Black and White, but there's no way we could have known. No way. I mean, who knew that Todd McFarlane would surpass the Superman? We thought that Superman was going to steal the show as it had just zoomed up there so fast, overtaking Todd. Is that right? Did Superman surpass Todd at one point? I thought it did. I might be wrong. Well, let me know which of these items that you have and what you think about future value, and also give me feedback on whether or not you found it valuable, talking about the price action and picturing it as an order book. I think it's important when we notice price movements, when we look at how it would appear as an order book, and also looking at the price charts in order to determine the direction that an item is going, so you can smartly know when to accumulate, when to hold, and when to sell. All right, that's all I got for this edition. This is Carlton, and I am out.